going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Thank you so much for joining. It's Plant-Based with Nicole. I'm your host, Plant-Based Nicole Richey. Nicole Richey. Holiday is my name. Thank you so much for joining. I have a special treat for you guys today. You know, every week is a special treat, but you know, this is a even more special treat. I am interviewing Tribe by Noir. I love his content, y'all. His content is on fire. He gives you them nuggets, that knowledge nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can never learn too much on his page. What's going on, you guys? Thank you guys for coming on in. Share this live with 5 or 10 of your friends. Where y'all tuning in from? Huh? I always like to know where everybody's coming from. So thank you so much. This is my podcast, Plant-Based with Nicole. Let me just put in the comments who I'm interviewing in case, anyone wants to know. Tribe by Noir is his name. Well, that's not his name. His name is Remsen, but his handle is Tribe by Noir. So thank you so much for joining. I am going to read his intro. Tribe by Noir, aka Remsen, is a high raw vegan nutritionist and fitness coach. He's dedicated to helping as many people as possible lose weight and reverse and heal from chronic health conditions. Comment in the chat if you guys are on a quest to lose weight, but you have not had success trying to do it by yourself. Comment, put a 1 if you are, if you could relate. Okay. Because, you know, there's always help out there. You can always find someone that has a lot more knowledge than you that can help you get to your goal. And that would be him, Remsen, Tribe by Noir. He is a fitness coach. He is, he helps people lose weight. So he can definitely help you. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely hit him up. So I'm just waiting for him to come on. And, I actually told him to come on at 4. So it's about 3:59. So we have some time. So, hey, who's in here? Comment, put a number 1 if you're trying to lose some weight. Put a number 1 if you need help losing weight and you just have not had the success doing it by yourself. I know it's pretty tough. I mean, it's not tough if you just apply your mind and just be consistent. But that's the thing. Sometimes we need help with that consistency, right? Kelly D put a 1. So Kelly D, maybe you need to hit up my guest Remsen because he can help you, honey. He can help you lose that weight. And I actually see him joining now. So, hey, Remsen, go ahead and request to join. You guys, is everything good? Y'all can hear me and everything? Let's see. Y'all can hear me, right? Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry about that. So, let me go ahead and request. Okay, he did it. Okay, Kelly. So I want you to hit up my guest in his inbox after the show. And I want you to tell him that you need help losing weight and tell him I referred you because I want my discount next time. No, I'm just playing. Okay, let's go ahead and accept. We want to reach as many people as we can. Plant-Based with Nicole podcast coming to you live on a Sunday. Hey.
What's going on? How you doing? Good evening.
Hey, Remsen. How are you?
I'm all right. Pretty good. Yeah.
You doing all right?
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear. Can everyone hear us both? Put a number 2 if you can hear us both before we go on. You know what? This is such a special treat. I appreciate you taking the time to come on my podcast today and talk and share and help others.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Your content is on fire, like your videos, though. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You have a lot of good information that I love. How you just break it down for us, you know, with the lifestyle, the high raw lifestyle or the raw lifestyle. There's a lot of good nuggets on there. So that's what intrigued me to want to reach out to you so that you can share and help others, because I know that you are a coach, you are a nutritionist and a fitness coach. So you help people lose weight, you help people heal their chronic health conditions. So there's always going to be somebody that's watching, even if it's just one person that you could reach. Then that
for sure. Yeah.
Then we know that purpose was served. But anywho, So let's get into, I always want to start off by asking, like, tell me your story. Tell me why you decided to, switch over to a plant-based lifestyle. Let's start with that. And then how long have you been eating this way?
Well, yeah, I've been plant-based vegan for 9 years now, right?
Wow, 9 years.
So
Okay.
pretty deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
I originally, did it for ethical reasons. Started off as an ethical vegan.
Okay.
Um, if you are against animal abuse and exploitation, there's not really that much of a leap to be vegan. It's kind of the logical conclusion of that, right? And I saw some horrible footage of what happens to animals in animal agriculture, and
Yeah,
it's really hard to watch, even the sound of it. So like,
I
I
know.
couldn't watch it, but even the sound of it is horrible, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty much it for me because I'm like, if it really affects me this bad, just to know the truth about it, how could I possibly participate in it, right?
Right.
Um, so you can't say, oh yeah, I love animals, and I'm against animal abuse, and then you see what happens, and you can't watch it, and then even the sound of it is horrible. So then,
Right.
well, you know what you need to do, right? So at that point, you feel convicted, and so that was basically me going plant-based and making that decision to do so, just to stay consistent with what the values that I assumed I held, right, and do hold.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, I was working as a fitness coach, which, I've done coaching pretty much for the majority of my adult life, right? Almost my entire adult life, to be quite honest. Um, and one of the difficulties was, well, you're helping people to get in shape, build muscle, lose weight, and all that type of stuff. But what do you tell them to eat now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
obviously you don't eat the way that you used to eat and you don't condone that. So, well, you got to make completely different recommendations.
Right.
So basically going through, education and whatnot, in plant-based nutrition, right? Getting certified and, all of that type of stuff and going through a good 2 years of education, and testing, that's when I really started getting into the nutritionist aspect of it, right?
Right.
Um, It wasn't until like the last couple years, right? I want to say over the pandemic, right? And that started. That's when I really adopted more of a high raw vegan lifestyle and really started focusing on chronic health conditions.
Okay.
Um, and that's what got me to where I am today. And that is in large part a result of, my girlfriend, where she was a raw vegan before I was. Um, And one of the things that really helped her, recover from things like Crohn's, colitis, heavy insulin resistance, diabetes, weight loss,
Wow.
all that type of stuff, right? She had a lot of different health conditions, and she was able to make significant gains and reverse a lot of these chronic illnesses,
That's
with
awesome.
plant-based nutrition. And that was really inspiring to me to
Mm-hmm.
really get into the education and look more into why that is, right? So she knew that it worked. And obviously she was living proof of that. And, she really understood how flawed our medical system is, how flawed our healthcare system is. And that's when, she really took those steps, to get into the whole raw vegan thing. And then, I pretty much joined on board and support and really learned as much as I can about it.
That's awesome. How long has you guys are so cute. I saw a few of your videos and I'm like, oh, love. Love is in the air. No. How long has she been eating raw? And she's pretty much predominant nothing's 100%, but she's pretty much fully raw though,
Oh,
right?
oh yeah, practically, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
um, I want to say that it's been about 4 years or almost 4 years. I want to say.
Oh, that's a long time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I know you eat a high raw diet. Um, what made you decide to eat a high raw as opposed to just staying at a just regular plant-based diet? And then tell me a typical day of eating for you.
Yeah, so basically, high raw as opposed to raw vegan, right? So everything is very circumstantial, right? So as far as being raw vegan, why would you be raw vegan? Well, chances are it's probably because you're battling against, chronic inflammation, high levels of stress, chronic illness. You need to lose a lot of weight, right? Some type of
Mhm.
health issues, right?
Mhm.
High raw vegan is more of the sweet spot, right? So it's probably along the lines of you eat raw throughout the day and then you have a cooked meal at the end of the day, or you have several cooked meals a week. So maybe let's say you have one cooked meal Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and you're fully raw Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, something like that. But that's kind of like what high raw means, right? So you're
Mhm.
mostly raw, but not entirely. And
Right.
you choose what kind of split you want to have. For me, it's more so along the lines of probably one cooked meal a day or every other day, really, depending on what my goal is at the time. Um, I'm not currently training for anything specifically. I'm not currently trying to combat any type of health issues or anything like that. So I don't really have strict guidelines personally for myself when it comes to how raw I'm going to be. But the reason why my diet is mostly raw, right, almost entirely, um, is because I've found it to be the most beneficial thing to do. It just works the
Yeah,
best, right?
I agree.
Um, and so basically, I've been able to really improve my health, even more so than I previously did. So, I mean, I'm healthier now and in better shape now than I was in my 20s, right?
And how old are you?
Uh,
Can I
so I'm,
ask? Can I ask
yeah,
how old you
yeah, I'm 36 now,
are? Okay.
right?
Work it. Work it.
Yeah, yeah. So, better joint health, better skin quality, better sleep, better mental health, better emotional health, better mental focus. I mean, everything straight across the board, right? Better
Yeah.
blood flow,
Yeah.
sexual health, etc. Um,
Mm.
everything, right?
Yeah.
And
Everything.
that's actually a really big deal too. And the reason why the sexual health thing is so important too, and it's a thing I don't talk about a whole lot, but it is one of the key aspects of human physiology, right? I mean, if you have poor sexual health as a woman, right, you end up being highly susceptible to growing fibroids through going through menopause early, through having a very difficult menopause, right, for example, right, things of this nature, having, painful periods, menstrual cycles, right, things like that. Um, for men go through andropause, which is basically the male menopause, right?
Oh, really? Is
Men
that
deal,
really
yeah,
a thing?
yeah,
I've never
yeah,
heard
yeah.
of
It's
that.
it's the male menopause, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Andropause.
I'm learning something new today. I did not know anything about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Men are most susceptible to certain chronic health illnesses like diabetes and heart disease because men, on average, as they get older, men store more visceral fat than women,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So you
That's why they
you
have
can
the
have
bellies.
right, that weird kind of bloated pregnancy male belly going
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you'll have men start to grow breasts, right? What people call moobs, right? Or man boobs, right? It's the longer version, right? Where you'll have guys,
Moves.
at the beach with a shirt on in the water, right? Um, not to make fun of anybody, but the point is the fact
No,
that
I'm
you
not.
just,
I'm not
you
laughing
know,
at anybody that has that. It was just when you said it, it just caught me off guard, and it just he said moves. That got me. But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm not making fun of anyone who has man boobs.
Sometimes you do need to make fun of somebody too. They could, if they're depending on their personality, right?
To
Um,
wake them up a little bit. Wake
wake
them
them
up a
up a
little
little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, you know, um, you shouldn't, as a man, you should feel comfortable taking your shirt off at the beach, right? And if you feel like,
Yeah.
you have the shirt on or whatever because you don't want people to see your moves, and it's like, well, you know what? Then you got to take better care of your health because you're kind of converting into a female at that point, right?
Hmm.
And so, you get excessive breast tissue, and then you get erectile dysfunction, enlarged prostate, right? Things like this. You start having testosterone getting aromatized and being converted into estrogen, which is what happens to a lot of guys where the literal testosterone that their body produces gets aromatized, right? It's this chemical process that converts testosterone into estrogen, right?
Hmm.
So, these are very serious concerns, right? That really affects people's health big time, right? Um, and most of the people that I work with are women, especially Black women. And I have a bit more of a personal investment in that, right? The women in particular that I want to see do very well are Black women, right? That is the demographic that I am most personally emotionally invested in, right? For a variety of different reasons. But also, for men as well, especially Black men, right? Where you got life expectancy of Black men dropping, and look, healthcare isn't really that accessible or great in our society, right?
Right.
Medical bankruptcy is a massive problem, and the people who hold the most medical bankruptcy or the highest medical debt are African Americans,
Right.
right?
Sad.
So, highest rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, African Americans, right? So it's something to be taken deadly serious.
Yeah.
So that's
Very.
become my primary life focus, right? To help as many people as possible to get healthy, reverse chronic illnesses, get to a healthy weight, etc. Right? So
Yes.
um, that's pretty much where I am at as far as that.
Good.
With
Thank you for sharing that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, getting to your second question is what do I eat today, right?
Yeah. Give us a sample. I know it's going to be different every day, but just for
Actually,
those who are interested, you're like,
actually,
actually, I eat the same every day. No.
no, I kind of do. But the thing
Yeah.
is that I eat a lot of different types of foods in a day.
Right.
So, for example, in a day, I can have chocolate oat pudding with banana
Mm.
slices, watermelon, grapefruit and tangerines, apples, grapes, chickpeas, avocado, roasted cashews,
Yummy.
seasoned with cayenne pepper, curry, cumin, or cumin, however you want to say it, right?
Right.
Turmeric, right? Things like this. And then my favorite Greek style flatbread, steamed broccoli, right? With nutritional yeast, that kind of thing.
Yum, yum,
Right.
yum. You're making me hungry.
Right. So it could be like, 15, 20 different types of foods in a day, right?
Now, do you
Depending on,
eat most? Oh, depending on
oh,
how
just
you
depend,
feel.
yeah, just depending on whatever my setup is, because I premeditate, my weeks.
So, do you eat mostly? I heard about. I heard you say chocolate pudding, chia pudding in the morning. But do you find yourself eating like mostly fruit throughout the day, and then maybe
Yeah,
the cooked meal in the evening?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and that works for you. And well, I'll talk about protein in a minute. But okay, so so you've been coaching. How long have you been coaching?
Oh, well, officially started coaching around 18 years old, so it's been quite
That's
a
a
while.
long
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And when you say fitness coach, you're a nutritionist and you do fitness coaching. So fitness coaching meaning like helping people with the workouts, and then nutrition is helping them with their food intake and all that type of stuff. So
Right.
you've helped a lot of people lose weight. You've helped a lot of people heal. Like, what are some of the chronic health conditions that you've helped people heal from? And then
Ha
some of your success stories with weight loss.
Hashimoto's, PCOS, diabetes, high blood pressure, food allergies, autoimmune disease, GERD. It's
Wow,
a
that's
pretty
a lot
extensive
of
list.
things you've
Yeah, yeah.
helped. You're almost
Kidney
a doctor.
disease.
You're
Yeah,
better than
yeah,
you're better than a doctor because you've helped them lose it without all the medicines and all the
well, the
or
thing about doctors is there's a purpose for doctors, right? You go to a doctor to get a diagnosis,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Um, a lot of the times that's all they can really give you. Right,
Pretty much.
right. Because look, doctors do three things: diagnosis, well, no, four things: tests, diagnosis, medication, prescriptions, surgeries. Aside from that, there's not really a whole lot else. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I feel like if a lot of people were to just take the approach with a big part of diet, getting the diet right, it can help eliminate so many different diseases and sicknesses, then there would be no need for a doctor. They would go out of business. That's why they don't really want to recommend, they don't really, refer you to certain healthy eating or certain ways of eating to help heal you, because they know if they do, you won't really need them anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the culture in the medical industry is very interesting. Believe it or not, about like 80% of my knowledge base I didn't get from a nutrition course. I didn't get it from the standard studies for for nutritionists,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of it was independent study. Uh, Um, Now, your average healthcare practitioner is very busy, right? They see person after person, patient after patient. They were on the phones, emails, haggling back and forth with health insurance companies, doing paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. A lot of the times they do not have the extra time to do independent research, right? Unless they're called to go to a specific seminar to learn about a type of medication or surgery. Um, but doctors, out of their whole, let's say you're a doctor, you go to school for 8 years, you get your master's degree, something like that, right? You only really go through about 20 hours of nutrition education,
Mm-hmm.
right? If that. So not much, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really ever find doctors who write diet plans or know anything really about diet at all, right?
Exactly.
Even nutritionists that your doctors refer you to, a lot of the times, don't even write diet plans. What they do is they'll make general diet recommendations that correspond with particular pharmaceutical therapies, right?
Yeah.
So your doctor will probably send you to a nutritionist. Let's say, if you've been diagnosed with kidney disease, we send you to this nutritionist, and they'll give you a list of foods to avoid, right?
Hmm.
So they'll probably say, well, try not to consume too much potassium. Um, Avoid beans. Crackers are fine. Kind of vague things like that, right? Which,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, is not good advice at all. Um,
Right.
well, beans, they have too much phosphorus and that's bad on your kidneys. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of not. There's a bit more nuance to it. Or, don't avoid bananas because the potassium, first of all, bananas is not the highest source of potassium. So I don't know why people select potassium for that. Also, avoiding potassium if you have kidney disease is very bad dietary advice. And the reason for that is because you need potassium in order for your kidneys to function. Now, the reason why they'll tell you that is because the medications often have potassium elements baked into them,
Hmm.
right? Um, and then, they'll a lot of the times they'll put people on things like diuretics and stuff like that, right? To try
Yeah.
to force some type of urine production.
Wow.
Now, I mean, it's a hedge against a poor diet that causes kidney disease in the first place, but the medication isn't really necessarily needed if you're eating the right things. So you
Mm-hmm.
can fix your kidneys with diet,
Yeah.
right? But it'll be more difficult to do that though with the medications a lot of the time. So one thing, from a lot of the recommendations that I've heard nutritionists give people, there's not a whole lot of nuance, right? And you do need the nuance because, health is a moving target, right? Your nutritional needs are different from day to day, and they're definitely different from month to month and year to
Yeah.
year, right? So, for example, I've had people who are diabetic, and as their insulin sensitivity improves, if they stay with the same dosage of insulin, the insulin will drop their blood sugar too low. They'll wake up like 3 o'clock in the morning with really low blood sugar and having cold sweats.
Oh, wow.
So insulin sensitivity forces people off of their medications anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they say, I want to, the doctor told me to take the insulin, but when I do, it drops my insulin too low. It's like, yeah, because your insulin sensitivity is improving very quickly,
Yeah.
and your doctor's not used to seeing that,
Right. Through the
right?
diet.
Right, right.
Wow.
And it happens quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, there could be things like, I think the most difficult thing probably is people who are diabetic with high cholesterol. And the reason for that is because, let's say if you're diabetic, but you also have high cholesterol. Now, what happens typically is your doctor will put you on a cholesterol medication, probably some type of beta blocker, or put you on a diuretic. It'll put you on some type of amlodipine because a lot of times people with high cholesterol also have hypertension, high blood pressure, right? And what happens is, a lot of the high blood pressure medications and the beta blockers and things like that will worsen your insulin resistance and make you more diabetic. So even if your diet is improving your insulin sensitivity, your medications can be creating insulin resistance. So
Wow.
basically you put in like this stun lock where you don't really get much progress.
It's like counter,
Yeah.
what's the word I'm
They
looking for?
counteract each other, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they cancel out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some great information. Wow, I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much for breaking all this down.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone who's watching is learning a lot, and you're all just taking some nuggets from my guest because he is very knowledgeable here. So you've helped a lot of people lose weight. Let's talk about weight loss for a minute because from what I'm starting to see, and this is just from experience, the only way I start losing weight or losing fat is when I'm in a calorie deficit. Even though I eat a plant-based diet, I've been eating a plant-based diet for 12 years. I'm also older. I'm 48 now. Although I work out, I'm not as active as I used to be in my 20s, 30s, and early 40s. I still work out, but I'm not doing those extra things like those 15-mile bike rides because of transportation, or dance rehearsals every week, dance classes. Those were all like extra calories I was burning, but back then I didn't trip off of it. I wasn't tripping off a calorie deficit. I didn't even know what a calorie deficit was until a few years ago. But I realized that it's not as easy for me to drop fat, even though I eat plant-based. And then I realized it's because I'm not burning as much as I used to, which is keeping me in that deficit. So anyway, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. What would you say, what is the strategy for weight loss and fat loss? Like, do people have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, meaning burning more than you're eating? Like, is that science, and is that the deal? Even eating healthy, do you still have to be in a deficit?
Not necessarily. So the whole calorie deficit thing. So here's the problem. So rule number one, first thing you got to know, you don't eat calories, you burn them. Right? So the whole calorie deficit thing isn't even real, right? Because you don't eat calories. So calories in, calories out is not a thing because there is no such thing as calories in. Right?
Really? Are you sure?
You don't eat calories are a measure of thermogenic energy. It's purely output based. It's a measure of output in terms of heat energy.
Wow.
So basically, the main thing that matters in food is your macronutrients and micronutrients. So macronutrients is going to be your carbs, fats, proteins. Micronutrients is going to be minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and then there's enzymes and antioxidants and things like that underneath that. When it comes to your body's always trying to burn fat, right? And it's very difficult to calculate calories because your caloric intake it changes from day to day, and your thermogenic output is higher in some days than others. So an example is, let's say you go to bed tonight, you get really good quality sleep, you wake up tomorrow. Your thermogenic burn will be higher after a good night's rest. Now, if you sleep terribly, it'll be slower, which means you end up burning less. One of the big reasons why people struggle to lose weight is usually because of poor food quality or because of poor sleep quality. And sometimes it's a lack of exercise. So a lot of the time, the people who come to me who struggle to lose weight the most are typically people who are under eating. They don't eat enough.
I've never had that problem. I'm like, how do people even? What does that mean? But yeah, there are a lot of people that don't eat enough.
Right. You're also not fat too, right? So, if you got if your body fat percentage is like 40, 50%, all right, right? But if it's like 25%, 30 at the most. That's a body composition thing. That's a bit of a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the stages of weight loss are a lot different. So the approach is going to be very different for somebody who has to lose 15 pounds versus somebody who has to lose 100.
Yeah.
Usually people have to lose like 50 pounds, 75 or 100 pounds. The amount they eat is not the problem. It's what they're eating, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
usually has to do with their gut microbiome, their digestive process. It has to do with sleep quality. Are they adequately mineralizing their body? Are they adequately alkalizing their body, where their body is moving acid out at a preferred route, right? That kind of thing, right? So, for example, when I talk about alkaline and acid, acid is a byproduct of energy expenditure. It's a
Mm-hmm.
byproduct of metabolism, right? Usually, for example, there's this thing called metabolites, which are byproducts of energy expenditure and metabolism. So let's say, like, for example, you eat a protein-rich food. After eating a protein-rich food, your body will produce acids. Your body will produce things like ammonia, right? If you're eating animal-based products, your body will produce more uric acid, for example, right? Uric acid is associated with something like GERD or gout, right? Um, if that acid accumulates in the body more than it's removed from the body, you end up developing health issues. And the more inflammation you're under, the harder it is for your body to burn fat. So
Okay.
your body is always making a choice. Are we going to metabolize fat for energy, or are we going to slow down the metabolism and deal with the stress and inflammation and balancing that out? The more inflamed you are and the more oxidative stress your body is going through, the harder it is to burn fat.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the, the primary goal then becomes stress reduction, right?
Hmm.
So you can cut your calories and you can make it harder to lose weight. And the reason for that is because under eating is a stressor, right?
On the
So let's say
body.
you have poor sleep quality, you're lacking serotonin, you're lacking melatonin, you're lacking dopamine. And the reason in these you're lacking these hormones, these neurotransmitters, because of a lack of the amino acids that your body uses to make these neurotransmitters, which negatively affects your brain chemistry. And if you alter and negatively affect your brain chemistry, that mixes with your other hormones, your thyroid, right? So you can have elevated thyroid stimulating hormone, and then your T3 can be too low, right? T4 be too high, right? Things like this. So that can mess with your pituitary gland, your adrenal glands, where you're lacking adrenaline, so you're feeling fatigued but really stressed, so you're producing way more cortisol and a lack of production of adrenaline. As a woman, as you get older, your estrogen starts to decline over time, right? Through a
Mm-hmm.
lack of hormonal production, right? And that all has to do with your liver, your pituitary gland, and your brain chemistry really overall, right? There's a lot of different elements, way more than three.
Right.
But just using that as an example, I mean, even your pancreas has to do with estrogen production, et cetera, right? We haven't even gotten into the uterus, right? Um,
Wow.
but I don't want to be too long because this can easily be like a 2 hour stream, so I don't want to be too technical. But
This is some deep stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But so reducing stress. For example, bananas. Bananas are high in an amino acid called tryptophan. Tryptophan, your body uses tryptophan in order to create serotonin. Serotonin is the feel-good hormone, the pleasure hormone. When you reach a certain threshold of serotonin in your gut, that transfers to development of serotonin in your brain, and then that serotonin is then used to create melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that allows you to get good sleep, to fall into a deep
Mm-hmm.
sleep. So, like for example, eating cantaloupe or bananas, or mango, or pistachios or peanuts before bed. That can help improve sleep quality, for example. Right.
Really?
So, you can say, oh, well, eating right before bed, isn't that bad? Nah, it depends on what you ate. It can be really good to eat right before bed, right?
Oh, that's new
Um,
to me.
people wait, people say I do intermittent fasting, so I don't start eating until like 12 or 1 o'clock. What happens when you wake up first thing in the morning, your blood sugar is really elevated because you're really stressed. A lot of diabetics I have, they wake up first thing in the morning, blood sugar like in the 180s, 200s. They're like, I don't
Mm.
understand. I didn't eat anything. I just woke up. I didn't even eat anything yet. I was like, yeah, because of the stress. It's not the food you eat necessarily that's affecting your blood sugar entirely. A lot of it is stress. Food can
Wow.
stress your body or it can remove stress. You wake up first thing in the morning, you have a few cups of watermelon, you can see your blood pressure and your blood sugar come down. They say, well, how is that? Isn't watermelon really sugary? It may initially spike your blood sugar a little bit, but it drops a lot quicker. Why does that
Mhm.
happen? Watermelon, for example, is about like 80% water, right? A little bit more than that. Right? It's mostly water. So basically, eating watermelon in the morning is like drinking a glass of water.
Yeah.
Watermelon also has high levels of vitamin C and potassium, which helps to hydrate the body and hydrate all of your cells. That will bring your stress down. Also has glucose, right? A mix of glucose and fructose, along with the vitamin C. These things work together to bring cortisol down. Cortisol, that stress hormone that gets pumped into your body when you wake up first thing in the morning. So that food can actually lower cortisol, and that's what gets your blood sugar down, because cortisol actually helps to increase your blood sugar because it rapidly breaks down fat and use that for energy, right?
Hmm.
So you eat that watermelon first thing in the morning, it brings the stress down. Now, watermelon also has an amino acid called citrulline. Citrulline gets converted into arginine, and arginine is used to make something called nitric oxide. And this is the chemical compound that dilates your vascular system. It increases blood flow and blood oxygenation. So now that lower your blood pressure, right? And so now if you have a dilated vascular system, that allows your blood to be able to ship glucose to your cells faster and much more efficiently. And you get more oxygen to all of your cells, which means more mental alertness, a better mood, etc. Nobody's ever like, you know what, I feel miserable ever since I started eating watermelon, right? People are
Right.
like, I feel really good after I eat
Yeah.
watermelon,
Yeah.
right? And that's that vasodilation, more oxygen to the brain, more efficient hormone production, serotonin release. By the way, sugar also releases serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins, all of the feel-good hormones, right? And that brings down the stress hormones like the cortisol, right? Which is that stress hormone you really got to get down. But the only way you get it down is by reducing your overall stress. If you're eating foods
Wow.
like that, the watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, you grapefruits and tangerines, all of these sugary, beautiful, colorful fruits that dilate your vascular system and drop your stress, and so you now get put into a position where if your stress is low enough, well, then now fat burn can be elevated. And so earlier, I think last week, I did a video. I said more oxygen means more weight loss, or more oxygen equals more weight loss. And people say,
Yeah,
well,
I
how is
saw
that?
that.
You cannot burn fat or anything without oxygen,
Right.
right? And you can test it out, right? So let's say you take a piece of paper, you light it on fire, let the fire engulf the paper, you put the paper down, and then you put like a glass over it, airtight. Watch the fire burn out on its own, right? Because the moment you remove the oxygen, the fire cannot burn anything. You cannot burn anything without the fire, unless
Come
you
on
have
now.
radiation, right? That's an entirely different thing,
Mm.
right? Um, so basically, all thermogenic energy requires oxygen, right? And oxygen is just like a type of gas, right? So when you have foods that increase oxygen absorption into your cells and improves oxygen uptake, you automatically get more fat burn. So when you eat more fruit, well, fruit is a perfect conduit to get into oxygenate your blood and oxygenate your cells. So you can eat fruit all day long and then lose weight. It's why you eat all of this sugar and all this type of stuff and losing weight. It's because it's water, sugar, oxygen. Perfect recipe for fat metabolism. If you wear a heart rate monitor and you do a water fast, you will realize your heart rate will be low. Your
Hmm.
metabolism slows down the longer you fast, and it does that in order to preserve energy. If you're trying to tap into fat cells and burn energy, you want to increase energy expenditure. You don't want to reduce it. But if you fast long enough, that's exactly what happens. You reduce energy expenditure. So the longer you fast, the less of a return you get. It becomes less and less effective. So if you've been chronically under eating, chasing a caloric deficit, you're crushing your metabolism,
Wow.
right? So now what happens when you increase the amount of food you eat? When you increase the amount of food you eat, and the foods that you're eating are all, beneficial towards reducing stress and picking up oxygen expenditure, well, guess what happens to your metabolism? It goes up, right? So you get more use, you get more energy conversion, more energy usage, more energy creation or conversion, right? So what happens is you end up able to build muscle faster, sleep better, improve your health in every aspect, right? Heal your gut, replenish your gut microbiome, and tap into your fat source continuously, right? This is why I can have people, I'm like, we're going to eat from sun up to sundown. We can have like 5 or 6 meals a day, right? Just eating fruit throughout the day. I say, what about protein? Well, protein's in all your foods that you eat. But the thing is, it's not how much protein you eat, it's how much of the amino acids your body uses to create new cells. You do need protein, but you got to accumulate protein roughly within a 36-hour period. So, for example, if you ate 40 grams of protein now, your body will break down every gram of that protein into simpler amino acids, and it will be using those amino acids to then create new cells over the course of the next several days.
Wow.
So, if you need 100 grams of protein, let's say hypothetically, and 100 grams is a lot. Well, let's say you need 100 grams. So if you needed 100 grams, right, if you were to get 35 a day for the next 3 days, you'd be able to surpass your goal. Right? So, but you don't really have a daily protein. Most people don't need a daily unless you're a bodybuilder and you're just doing like an insane amount of you're just burning through skeletal muscle tissue. That's a different thing. And that's why we have things like protein supplements or whatever. But most people don't engage in the labor needed to have that kind of a protein demand. Right? So your average woman really only needs about, I would say at most, like 40 grams of protein per day to actively build muscle mass on a hypertrophy style training. Hypertrophy meaning cellular growth or tissue growth, right? So our protein consumption is increasing year over year over year, and our population is getting weaker and weaker and weaker and sicker and sicker and sicker over time. If protein was that important and essential to your health, then we wouldn't see this kind of inverse correlation.
Wow.
Right? So based on the numbers, it may seem we are overemphasizing the importance of protein consumption and underemphasizing everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so true. Man, how do you remember all this stuff? Like, you are like getting real deep with it. And I'm just like sitting here amazed because, I'm learning a lot that I've never even heard about or knew about. And I guess this is why you do what you do.
Yeah. You talk about the same stuff for years, reading about it and being super immersed in it all the time.
Yeah. I guess for any type of thing someone's doing that they that's their profession, they're going to know it because they've been studying it so long, they've been doing it so long. But someone like myself who doesn't study it like that, it just seems so like overwhelming. Like, goodness, there's so much information to know, but that's why you're doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? You were meant to do this. This is your calling. This is your purpose. Thank you so much. This is some good information. I saw one of your videos and you were talking about like getting good results. People want to just train hard, but you talked about recovery being more important.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like training hard versus recovery, like where everybody's focusing on is the wrong thing. Well, just talk to me about that video because I don't want to say.
Well, here's an example I'll use. Think about it like your income versus taxes. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? It's not how hard you train, it's what you can recover from, right?
Yes.
That's the lens. You can train as hard as you want. You can go into the gym and you can train until you pass out, and all of that would be a complete waste of your time if you couldn't recover from it. So people will go to the gym, train hard, consistently, right? Mind over matter, hustle culture, grind. Who cares no matter how you feel? You wake up, you go to the gym, you give 100% every day. What if you gave 100%, but you go to bed at night, you only recover 80% each day? You're bleeding 20% on a daily basis. Train 100,
Wow.
recover 80, train 100, recover 8. You're in a 20% deficit every day. Guess how that's going to affect your health and your results? What's that going to do to your muscle tissue and your bone mass? What's that going to do to your connective tissue?
Yeah.
If you're having injuries, shoulder injuries, tears, sprains, impingements, you're training too hard. Your body's not recovering from the wear and tear.
Mm.
I saw
And
a
that's
video.
very important.
I saw a video. Dr. Sabi, he was giving a lecture. He's on a stage. He did something that was more important than anything he said. He stands up on stage, he makes his point, and he drops down to his knees. And you hear his knees hit the stage. Boom. He dropped all his body weight on his knees. This guy's in his 80s. And he stood up. He didn't have to like kneel, get up one leg at a time. No, he stood up both legs same time. Walking around like nothing happened. Iron, bulletproof knees. I said, I've never seen an 80-year-old man be able to drop, boom, knees hit the ground. No, he didn't slowly get down. He fell right on his knees. Got back up.
Down. Wow.
Right. And I said, that right there is what you can do when you know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Right?
Woo!
So, and I saw that like several years ago, and I was like, that's phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I ended up looking into this whole alkaline thing. Why does it work? And he was right. But a lot of people don't understand it in the most scientific lens. Alkalizing essentially means you're getting more oxygen absorption and electrical energy throughout your body. When people talk about being electric, what they're really talking about is your nervous system basically shooting electrical impulses and signals throughout your body constantly. Right? When something's alkaline forming, alkalinity is the basis for electrical energy conduction. Right? So imagine like your nervous system is like a series of copper wires, broadband internet, high speed, right? Big serious technology. And your whole entire body, every aspect of your body is wired with this stuff. But you need the minerals in order to maintain it. You need the vitamins and amino acids in order to maintain it. Because the thing is that wiring, it gets oxidized over time. What he was talking about is alkalizing your body in order to maintain that neural network, that series of wires and cables that go throughout your body, so that that electrical energy conduction can be smooth and consistent and there's no hitches in it. Right? That's what he's talking about. Acid is corrosive if it accumulates to an excessive degree. So when he's talking about, oh yeah, you alkalize your body and you maintain a roughly 7.4 alkalinity on average, right? You're hovering between a 7.4 and a 7.8, for example. That's how you're able to maintain what people like to call a high vibration or high frequency. High frequency or high vibration, that's not woo-woo speak. That's not like, oh, it's a vibe, my dude. It's not that. Frequency is megahertz, gigahertz, right? The actual conduction of signals and electrical energy. That's what that really is when they talk about frequency, right? So when you hear house music, you go to a party, you feel that bass and you vibe to it, and they talk about it's a vibe. All that is just math and electrical impulse passing through your body, and you feel it. Yeah. Same way when you eat right, you feel it, right? So you say, well, how do you know when you're eating right and you're healthy and everything's on point? You'll know when you feel it, right? So that's wow. That's the best way to explain that.
This is some good stuff. Y'all, I hope some of you guys are just really being touched by all these things he's telling us, because it's very educational. If you guys need help, if you need a coach, y'all need to hit him up in his inbox. How do people sign up? Do you have like a link? Yeah. I know you have a link tree. Is there a way that people can sign up in there?
Yeah, absolutely. People can go to my page and follow me. I live stream on TikTok twice a week. I do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, you're
I
on
live
TikTok
stream on
too?
there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Same name, just same handle. Try by Noir.
Yeah. I just got on TikTok about a month and a half ago, and
okay.
I'm still, new to it. But yeah, you guys, please hit him up. He can help you. So you do this full time, like this is your career, like this is your 9 to 5, like nutrition, fitness coaching.
I work more hours probably than your average person. So like for example, Sundays are off day for me. I don't work on Sundays typically.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you allow that. You have to recovery.
Yeah.
You go hard during the week. You train hard, and then you need that time to recover. So last question is like, how do we get abs like yours?
What's funny is that like
I'm real jealous of your abs though. Okay.
What's funny is that so I'm not necessarily like trying to stay lean or anything like that. I'm not trying to I don't really. It's not even it's just natural. I mean, a lot of the part. I mean, if you want to keep your belly fat down, is a large part about what you eat.
Yeah.
But like if you want to actually build your abs, then like it's like any other muscle, right? You got to train it. From a technical aspect, when you train your abs, there's a few different options you want to do. Like say if you want to construct an ab workout, the best way to really build your abs is to train abs on a daily basis. Let's say you train abs for about 5 to 10 minutes a day, right? 10 minutes is a lot. I would say 5 minutes daily, right?
5 minutes,
so
okay, daily.
Let's say you have an exercise that focuses on spinal flexion, which is basically where your sternum gets closer to your belly button, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have spinal rotation, right? And that's basically where you pivot at the spine and then it hits your obliques. You can combine your pivots with a contralateral movement where you're flexing the spine and rotating. It's kind of like if you're doing cable wood chops or swinging a baseball bat or something like that, the pivoting that way. Mm-hmm. So you can do exercises focusing on the spinal flexion, the flexion and pivoting, and then focusing on spinal stability, whereas you're inhibiting movement at the spine. So you contract the abs, tuck your belly button in, squeeze your abs, and then you hold and prevent movement. Right. So these are kind of like the main ways where you actually train your abs. Right.
Wow.
And then if you develop a strong upper and mid back, that's a great way to maintain your posture so you don't look weird. So because people look weird when they have poor posture, but a six pack. Right, they look weird.
Oh,
do that. So people be like this here, but they got the abs, but they look kind of choked up top.
Popping, but they looking like this.
Right, the anxiety posture. You know what I'm talking about? So your posture is a big part of it, right? So if you actually want to have like a longer, more aesthetic torso and have the shoulders down and be more aesthetic, you really do got to focus on your posture as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here as you're talking. I'm trying to straighten up my posture right now. Wow.
So,
and then diet is a big part of it too.
Yeah. Your diet basically facilitates your goals. So you don't necessarily use diet to achieve a goal. You use diet to facilitate a goal.
I like that.
Right. So even with weight loss, the diet isn't going to get you the weight loss. It's going to give you the ability to pursue weight loss.
I like that.
So you still got to put in the work.
You got to put in the work.
Right.
And just sit on your hiney.
Right. So
do you ever go ahead? Sorry, I have a problem cutting people off.
No,
go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say the final thing because I don't want to leave it like that because I gotta inject two more things. When it comes to exercise, number one, walking. If you're trying to drop body fat, walking an hour a day, let's say for example, or getting the 10,000 steps that your Fitbit rewards you for doing. That's where the fat burn. That's where you maximize the fat burn, and then you build muscle.
I thought you was going to say something. I thought you was going to say something opposite of that. I was like, no, don't say it's a bad thing.
Yeah. If you want to maximize fat burn, walking is probably one of the best ways to do it. And then resistance training is the thing that you actually build new muscle so that you can have a more aesthetic physique.
Yes.
And be stronger. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Because that's what I do. Like I try to get my steps in, but I also lift weights. Now I should probably lift more, but I do something that's more like that I'll stick to. Because I could be like, I'm gonna lift weight 5 times a week. I mean 5 times a week, but I know I won't stick to that. So like I do like 3 days a week, sometimes 4, because it's something I can stick to,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, the resistance training is so important. People want to skip that and just do cardio, walk by itself. But you definitely need to incorporate the resistance, even if you don't have weights. Is bands still good enough? If people don't have weights, is resistance training with bands just as good, or do they need to get them dumbbells?
I personally only work out with body weight and resistance bands. I haven't been in a gym since March 2021.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
hold up. No, it's like, and y'all, if you see his physique, and for him to say that, that's encouraging to know that, he gets his body looking like that. He ain't even lifting no dumbbells.
Yeah.
So
So I train 6 days a week, about 30 minutes a day.
And I like it. 30 minutes. That's what my workout is too. My weights 30 minutes a day. Because I know if I try to do hour and a half and all that, I'm not gonna keep it up.
Yeah.
I might go hard for a month or two and then I'll get burnt out. So it's like I like to do 30-minute workouts and just keep it moving.
I hear you.
Just to maintain. I mean, my body don't look like yours, but But yeah, so thank you so much, Remsen. I appreciate this. This was awesome. We all have learned so much from you today. Like, this was like better than a college course, or you know what I'm saying? Like taking some training online. This was some good information that we all got today. Thank you everyone that joined today, that was here, that's here now, that will watch later. I appreciate you guys' support. Vegan Queen, I don't know if you're still on here. I saw your question. You wanted to know how old he is. He's 36. He's been vegan for 9 years. So someone just asked, if you're losing muscle mass, what should you do? One Gene R asked that.
Oh, it's there could be a variety of reasons, right? It could either be your sleep quality is not good enough, or your diet is lacking. It's usually those two things. If you're training really hard, right, because you're like a really hardcore person, it could be that your training is outpacing your recovery.
Wow.
Right? It's not that easy to lose muscle.
It's not.
Right? Like, you don't accidentally lose muscle. It's like, that's usually not how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's very easy to maintain lean mass.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're losing it, that means that something's really lacking somewhere.
Would it be as simple as increasing the weightlifting or resistance training?
Not if you're under recovering. If your sleep quality is poor and there's holes in your diet, increasing intensity and training is not going to do it. It'd probably make it worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, thank you so much. I'm just going to announce my guest so you can go now. This was dope, and I feel like we need to do a part 2 because you have so much information, and like I can ask you questions all day and just learn from you all day.
I'm down for it. Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm pretty sure, and it would be fun is if I brought you back, but this time I just did a Q&A with people just asking questions, because I apologize everyone that I wasn't able to read everyone's questions or whatever comments you have. I apologize, but maybe I could bring them back and just do it where it's just all about y'all and your questions and your comments and stuff. And we could do it like that, because I know I had my questions for him and it took up this whole time, but maybe next time we could do it where it's all about y'all and what your questions are. Maybe we can even bring 1 or 2 people on, as long as y'all don't start acting a fool. No.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, I'm pretty easily accessible. You know what I mean? I mean, I want to speak to as many people as possible and get the information out.
Yeah.
And, try to be as impactful and helpful as I can. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty much, I eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. So.
Yes, you do. And it's definitely, the proof is in the pudding. You're not just talking. I go on your page, I see all the information you give, I see the results, I see your physique, I see your health. So this is, you speaking and living it. So that's what it's all about. So thank you so much. I'll see you. I might hit you up. I'm booking for my April now, so I might end up hitting you up for a part 2, but we'll do a Q&A where it's focused on the audience, and their questions. So thank you so much, Remsen. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me on. Take care.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Once again, make sure you follow Tribe by Noir. It's pinned in my comments if you see it. If not, wait till I post it, and then you could just click on his name and follow him. And if you're interested in getting your body snatched No. If you're interested in weight loss, you need help, you can't do it by yourself, hit him up. He can help you. If you have health conditions that you just, the doctor, all they want to do is throw medicine down your throat and you don't want to go that route, hit him up. He can help you as well. So make sure you follow up next week. I will be interviewing Dr. Benjamin Benulis, and I apologize if I'm saying his last name wrong. He's the author of Create Health, and he also has reversed his autoimmune disease without drugs. Okay, so you guys tune in next week, 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST, and I'll see you all. Thank you again, Rimson. God bless you, and I'll see y'all on the gram.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Make sure you follow my guest. Follow. Hit him up in this inbox if you need help. He is here to help you. God bless you all, and I'll see you next week. Mwah.